how did you decide that computer science? Because again, especially, obviously it was still, it was growing, but it wasn't quite yet the, seminal degree that it is today. And so kind of how did you kind of think about doing something that was maybe a little under the radar?
Yeah. So one thing I realized, environmental engineering and computer science, so they're both sharing the common core, right? The math is one thing, right? Physics is one thing. And what difference between those two? One is very experiment based many of the time with environmental engineering. Many times we learn lots of the chemistry. And I'm not the person who actually love the chemistry too much, especially organic chemistry, because there's no such a pattern you can predict. It's based on the experiment's outcome. Then computer science at that time was fascinating. It was booming up. You can say, hey, this is a language. You can use language to create your own game. For example, I still remember Hangman was the first game like, outcome we programmed. So it's fascinating. You use your code to create something you can interact with.
And what I also like too about your time at Cisco is I think you started to realize too that you got connected to actually the business side as well, right? Like doing the actual P&L. So you were no longer just a technology resource, not that just that, but that you had a very familiar understanding of what the business needed as well. And you were responsible for driving some of that result.
Some technology at that time was, they are fascinating at the time. Now it's commodity. So you have to find a way to connect technologies to the customer values and business outcomes. That's the part can always lead you to the next wave of technology revolution. Otherwise, you focus on technology. What if that technology get commoditated or even no longer relevant? Then you lose your the core relevance, right? So keep yourself relevant with technology. The only way to do that is connect that with the business outcome and customer value. So that will never change regardless how technologies evolve, right?
And you were very early, relatively early into the machine learning field. And so I was just curious, was that kind of how you started to orient yourself towards that because you were thinking of the business value that machine learning can start to give to companies, and that was kind of how you matriculated over to that? Or was that one a bit lucky as well?
I always feel like, don't underestimate the lucky factor in your career or anything. However, so I can see the pattern. So at Cisco is a network company. So literally, I feel like that shaped how I perceive the world. They are connected. When they're connected, there are certain way to manage and route different things altogether. So network view actually is very beneficial. It's huge for anyone if you can think with that connected network view. So that's number one thing I think I learned from Cisco. Number two thing is every node in the network has a data. So if you really see that before I jump into machine learning, I had almost, year and a half experience in a startup company.
And I think one of the philosophy you had, which I thought was really important to really highlight, was I missed the third one, so I apologize for that. It was self-learning, self-reflection, and then there was a third,
Self-assurance.
self-assurance. And can you maybe
Right.
go through each of those and why?
Self-learning, it is, you have to have a growth mindset. You learn from different journey. You learn from success. You learn from fail. You learn from yourself. You learn from peers. Self-learning is always, you have to intentionally make sure, what you have learned. Are you learning something? What you want to learn? So that's just the practice. So self-reflection is, along the journey, when you learn, you also need to know, to examine yourself, whether you're getting better or do you have ability to unlearn? Because the more experience you're getting, you inherit lots of habit from the past. Though some of those experiences might not even relevant to the future. So self-reflection give you the opportunity to evaluate, then retro and learn. Just keep that self-learning going. So the purpose of self-learning, self-reflection is not to really say, hey, how bad other people are, how terrible I am, because I always failed. It's self-assurance because the more you learn, the more you reflect, you actually build a very strong inner confidence on yourself. I can handle anything. I can move to whatever I want to do, even though I might not get there right away. But this is how I ensure myself to get there, find different ways to explore.